Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Off the Bench podcast. I'm your host, Ross. Tonight we are joined, this afternoon, I should say, we're joined by Guy. Welcome, Guy.
How we doing, lads? Finally a good week. Good to be here after missing last week. And yeah, also very excited for this show because we've got a special guest on
All
our
right,
show as well.
and how did you go this week, Guy? What did you end up scoring?
Oof. The exact score, I'll just get it up. I know I've pushed up. I'm on 596 up in terms of my rank. And the exact score was 1170. In terms of what went good and what went bad, obviously Matty Short, captain of here, you boys all went hardy, so that obviously played into my favour. Yeah, there was still, I looked out Connolly and played Chowdhury, which probably wasn't the right move in the end. I just thought he was going to get a few more overs, like we all did. And then, yeah, apart from that, I was tempted by Lance Morris instead of Inglis. And I was also tempted to captain Richo as well, but I just stuck with the crowd. And yeah, so it's actually worked out okay. I'm in 596, so hopefully that top 500 still on path.
Nice, that's good. And welcome, Timmy. How are you?
Very well, thanks, Roscoe. Evening, gentlemen. Well, good morning, good afternoon, depending on which part of the country you're actually in these days. I'm up in beautiful sunny Queensland. I say that it's currently raining. It's a good place to be, though. Yeah, look, boys, I had a bit of a shocker. It's my first red arrow since round one, well, since the start of the game. So unfortunately, it's really cost me. I had a 947. Pretty much everything I could have done wrong did go wrong. Unfortunately, I missed lockout on the first game. The first game kicked off at 5:15 instead of 6:15, and I just didn't realise and didn't have my team set up properly, and unfortunately had my two heat players on the field instead of in my bench loop position. So I had to cop them, unfortunately. So that's the way it goes. Had I had them in there, I would have had a free stab then at Whiteman because he's in my team and was just sitting there doing nothing and has done pretty much since round one. And had Billings as well. So yeah, they would have cost me. I had plenty of points sitting on the pine as well, which is frustrating, but it is what it is. I did captain Hardy. Well, because I did everything that way, I didn't have a crack at the VC either. So I had to straight captain Hardy. So yeah, just it all went to shit. It cost me big time. I scored a 947. I went from 600th overall to about 1200th overall, which is really frustrating. And yeah, we'll see. At this stage, I think I've got 12 double gamers for this week, so things could be worse. But I think if people planned appropriately, then there'll be a lot of people with double gamers in there too. So we'll wait and see.
I don't think it worked out too bad, you being stuck with heat players other than Billings, because obviously Tall Paul got an 89, so that wasn't really a bad result for you. But
no, just
yeah.
It was more so the fact that how I set the team up. Because I'd reverse trade a few times, I actually had the VC on Billings and he was in my bat. So that really stuffed me as opposed to, yeah, it meant that I couldn't move him around. I had Whiteman and Inglis as wicket keepers, so I couldn't take an advantage from that. Yeah, it didn't work well, but it's my own fault. It's I should have been more switched on to kick off. And yeah, but what did the family need me for at 5 o'clock in the afternoon?
How dare they interrupt something so important in BBL?
Oh, mate, it's the joys of having 3 kids and these games every day. So you've got to be really switched on with BBL.
And lastly, we have a special guest. Welcome to the podcast, Nick, who's the coach of LockNstock, who's currently sitting in 8th overall. Great effort. So welcome to the pod, Nick.
How you going, buddy?
Good. So tell us a bit, how long you've been playing for? Obviously, this is probably your best result, I'm guessing, to date. And what's probably been the biggest move that you've done this year that you see yourself, in the position that you are?
Yeah, sitting ranked 8th at the moment. Sorry, what was the question? I'm a bit nervous, buddy.
That's okay.
No stress, mate.
No stress. What do you think's been the main moves that you've done this year to, get yourself into the position that you're in?
I reckon bringing in probably every round I've brought in double game players and planned for the next couple of rounds after that. So I've just concentrated on double round players just about every round. That's been my main focus.
Yeah.
It's just been double game players and made sure I had my bench set up for the next 2 rounds.
And obviously picking the right players on those doubles obviously help as well. I mean, we can all bring in double game players, but still got to do that and nail your captain as well, obviously.
That's it, everyone. It's a lottery with what players you pick. Like, it's the luck of the draw. 100% in BBL, luck of the draw. You got to burn through your trades, pick as many as you can, the ones you want. Yeah. A lot like the AFL or NRL where you got to use strategy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just out of interest, Nick, do you happen to know off the top of your head, mate, what your team value is roughly, or have you got access to that in front of you?
2.5.
2.5. See, that's a big difference. Like I'm chasing, and I'm 2.485. So that's basically one or two upgrades there between my team and your team. So pretty hard to chase the guys at the top now.
With the team value there, I'm able to sit Webster on the bench and stuff like that. 200k. Bring in the players I want. It's definitely helps have that team value up.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Well done on that.
Congratulations, mate, and thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
All
it'd be
right,
great to have you on.
I pumped out a 9.39, which wasn't great. First lot of red arrows since the start of the season. I captained Hardy as well, unfortunately, and then a few other guys didn't fire, like Richardson and Ty and a few other blokes. Dropped 678 spots down to 4,500. Not ideal, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, I was always going to choose between Hardy or Matt Short as captain, and obviously chose the wrong one. So anyway, we'll roll into it, and let's look at the first game, which is probably not really that relevant. It's the Stars versus the Sixers, boys. What is everyone doing with Maxi this game? Are we putting him on the field, or are we going to put him on the emergency and loop him in if he does well? What's everyone's plans, Guy?
Yeah, I definitely have a loop on Maxi, single game week player. I'll probably, as I said to you, I'm probably planning on running 10 double game weeks, and then my 11th player will be either Maxi or Matt Short, depending on what he scores. In terms of this game, I'm just really devastated that I didn't go Jack Edwards at the right time. I've talked him up every week, and I said, what's the Hayden Kerr? He's coming back soon, and Curran's come back soon. But the bloke just keeps holding his spot. And I don't think Hayden Kerr will make it back into the team. So, yeah, that's just been quite annoying because he's just done really, really well. And he opened the bowling, I think, the other night. Yeah. So that was just a bit annoying. I don't think I'd bring Curran or Abbott back this week, maybe next week in a single game week, but not this week. So I think, if you got any stars, the one that's kind of a bit awkward, Stoinis, I don't know if I'd be confident enough to put a loop on him, but yeah, Maxi for sure, definitely. And Sam Harper's the other one to touch on. Well, I don't want to know how to put it, but it's actually been best news of the season now because he can come a bench loop for me, rather than just keep bleeding cash and being annoying. So yeah, I think I'm going to hold him now eventually and just use him as a loop.
Well, we know he's not playing this round, so not that he'll be much handy this round, but he could be for possibly next round though. So yeah. What about you?
Yeah, well, they play the last and second last game of the last 2 rounds, so that's kind of what you want. Anyway.
What about you, Jimmy? What are you doing with Maxi and Matt Short?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Obviously, I've got both. I think Shorty, you've probably, I don't know, look at the score the guy just got. Like, you've got to have enough faith that he'll continue on. But yeah, the problem is too that he doesn't play until the 4th game in the round. So you've basically got to have him on your field anyway. So it's the way things are positioned. You've pretty much got to have him there. So it's then a case of, like in my case, I was saying before, I've got 12 double gamers this week. I nearly can almost sort of start to sell some of those guys. I'm
doing that exactly. I'm doing that this week, Timbo. I'm actually selling Connolly and keeping Overton. So I just thought
Yeah.
because it's single next week, I feel a lot of people are going to sell a lot of their good all-rounders, and you might end up with an Ellis or, someone who's not too bad, even a Spencer Johnson who I've been looking at. But I just think going on to next week, you kind of feel like, especially if you sell Matt Short or an Overton, I kind of want to bring them back in because they are one of the best players that got the best role.
Yeah.
The only one that I haven't got that's got a really good role is Dan Sams. I sold last week, so I definitely want him back next week.
Yeah.
But I just got to kind of map out my team next week and my loops to kind of work out this week. It sounds a bit strange, but what were we getting back to?
So with trades at the moment, I mean, obviously we'll talk about trades later on, but in my current squad, the only player I've got that's not actually playing this round is Will Sutherland. So that's handy in some ways in that he's dual position, so I can flick him around all over the shop. But yeah, it may, as crazy as it is, I may end up having to bring a nuff in or something like that, or a double game weeker for next week, and we'll see how things go after the first couple of games. But it may be a case of I end up trading out Connolly for another double gamer for next week who's currently on the bye or something like that. So it's anything could happen at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect viable strategy to sell a double game week, especially if you're going Perth. If you want to buy a Perth player and you've already got a lot of Perth, then you're probably going to have to sell Connolly to go to someone else. But yeah, like, I don't know. I just feel as though your Maxis and your Overtons, your Matt Shorts, all those people with a good role, I'm going to want next week anyway. So I'm going to try and, I don't mind selling Connolly and those type of plays. Even the other one's Chowdhury. I've got him this week, and I'm considering even putting a VC on him in the bench loop on him in the second game, because I'm just not too confident he's going to bat one, and then how many he hasn't bowled 3 once, I don't think, to get the economy, so he's just going to rely on wickets in an over or two. So
I've got him as an emergency at the moment, and then if he does well, then I can somehow bring him in, and then I can, make some other moves to get him into the team, and then I've got Matt Short down there as well. So
I think there'll be a lot of reverse trades this week or swaps. And and also like you call on bringing in a loop player or enough. I'm in the same boat of you. I only got Sutherland this week as a loop, so if I need a second one, I might have to bring in one.
Well, I've got one in every position at the moment because I've got Sam Harper, Joe Clark, and Salzman, so I've got one in every one there. So I'm pretty.
I've got Harper, but
so
I'm with I think mine and Tim's team's quite similar because we're talking about the keepers. They're all on doubles this week, all the ones I've got anyway. So I've got one from each team. So I've got Billings, Inglis, and McDermott. So I'm just thinking I can't really loop. Yeah. So I got Sam Harper as well for the loop, but I just can't use him.
Yeah. Nick, what are your thoughts, mate?
Yeah.
Well, I've still got Overton, and I'll be starting him on the field this week with Shorty and Maxi, I reckon, and looping in Stoyne and Webster. But I don't have any Renegades, so I'm going to have to save a trade and burn one like you, Timmy, I reckon. So, I don't know where I'm going to go there. Definitely got to start Short, definitely got to start Maxi.
And that's what's handy about having your bench loops in game 1, preferably, if not game 2, because then you can see what they score, and if they do go well, then you're happy to burn a trade on enough. But if they don't score well, then you don't have to burn that trade on enough, and you can get another double game week player instead.
One of them does well, though. I've only got one trade to burn on it.
That's the other thing too. So I was originally going to be trading in 3 Heat players, and then I'm like, well, hang on a minute, because they play second game. If one of my players in a later game goes well, then I can't reverse any of those trades because those 3 will have already played. So it's probably not the ideal situation to be trading in 3 Heat players this week because you won't be able to reverse them after the second game.
Well, they've got the Thunder and the Hurricanes both on the double as well, and the Heat play on big grounds. So I'm tempted to steer clear of the Heat and just go one Heat player, I think, because they play the Thunder and the Hurricanes on the double as well. And I already have 5. Scorchers,
Scorchers, not Thunder.
So which Heat player have you got at the moment, Nick?
I'm tossing up between Walt. I don't have any in my team. I'll be bringing in either Walter or Bartlett. I can't decide which one.
I think Walter's got the better role, but I guess we'll talk about that when we get to the game. But yeah.
Well, let's get into it.
All right, let's get to the next game then. So the next game is the first of the doubles, which is the Heat versus the Hurricanes. So I guess obviously for the Heat, they've got quite a few options to bring in. The only thing I'm going to mention too is that there's a good chance that both Usman Khawaja and Marnus Labuschagne could play the second game of their double, which could affect players like Josh Brown. Most likely Renshaw might be the one. Or other one is probably going to miss out. I'd say it's probably going to be those two, most likely. Boys, who do you like in this game? I'll go to you first, Guy. What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, in terms of the game itself, I think Heat should win at home quite easily and still be undefeated. Timbo will be happy about that.
I'm going to be there too, as long as it's not pouring down rain, but that's the plan for tomorrow. I will be at the game tomorrow afternoon.
I'm all right.
Marnus and Uzi back will obviously help them a lot in their second game if they do come back. In terms of super coach options, probably from the Heat, if I was to give you my top three, one's Paul Walter, quite clearly out in front. 2 and 3, I'd probably, if it's just points, I'd go Bartlett too, but I just think he's very, very expensive for what you're paying for him. And my 3 was obviously McSweeney. I was going him in round 1 at the start of the year if he was picked. That Prime Minister's 11 team came out and he didn't make that round 1 team. So he's the one that I'm only sole batter that I'm keen on for the Heat. But with that news of Uzi and Marnus coming back, it could push him down the order, or it's just a bit of an unknown, which is a bit worries me a little bit.
We have to think that probably Usman's probably going to open with Munro, and then I'd say Labuschagne probably comes in at 3, and then pushes everyone down from there. But in saying that, he won't push anyone down because it'll just be a straight swap, I think, for Brown and Renshaw and myself. I mean, Renshaw's not in any decent form, and that's the way I see it. They'll just be a straight swap, so it shouldn't affect anyone, really.
Yeah. Well, in terms of...
Have they said that... Sorry, have they said that they're definitely not playing tomorrow?
No, they won't play tomorrow. No, they won't play tomorrow.
Too soon from the test match.
No. The test is going to finish today. It's going to finish in probably the next hour because they only need 20 more runs to get. But I'd wholly doubt they'll play them tomorrow. They'll want to rest. You know, they're in Sydney at the moment. They're going to fly up to the Gabba, and you know, I don't see it happening. But yeah, go on, guys.
Just before I finish, just while we're on the Heat, Nessa's one that definitely avoid. I've seen a couple of teams trying to get him, and he's been managed, I think, by Cricket Australia, not by the Heat anyway. And he's max 2 overs, and he's batting behind Bartlett, which his role's just diminished tremendously. So even though he's dropped him in price, definitely don't go near him. The one that does interest me, I've already got Walter, so I'm only going to bring in probably one more Heat. I've got Billings as well, but funny enough, I'm not going to play Billings this week, so he's probably just sitting there. But the one I'm interested in is Spencer Johnson. Now, he's almost 100K cheaper than Bartlett. Bartlett's 200, Spencer Johnson's about 110. And I just feel as though, like, with Nessa being managed, he's definitely going to bowl his 4 overs. So he's not one I'm confident on, but he's definitely a pod play. If I was further back, I'd definitely be going him as a pod from Brisbane, because he'll definitely play both games. And, you know, he got bought by, I can't remember which team it was, for, you know, nearly $2 million in IPL. So he's just got that left arm heat, and he can just take wickets on his day. He reminds me similar to Henry Thornton from the Strikers. Just got that heat, and they can just pick up a few wickets on their day. So yeah, he's one that I'd probably be tempted to go over Bartlett, just purely for the 90K difference as well.
Yep. What about you, Timmy? What's your top 3 you reckon for the Heat?
Yeah, a bit of a pod play. I wouldn't mind. I mean, I'm not doing it, but if you're looking for a pod, I think Munro, the way he started the series, was on fire from game 1. So, look, if you're trying to chase points, then maybe that's one way of doing it. Absolutely, I'm definitely keeping Paul Walter. I bought him in about 3 or 4 rounds ago, with this round in particular eyeing off. So, yeah, look, Bartlett's great. I went Dorf last week for 210 or whatever it was, close enough. So I guess I can't say no to Xavier Bartlett at 200K. Yeah, it really depends where you are in the field, I guess, and whether you're trying to chase or whether you're trying to consolidate. So that's probably the two hardest things that you've got to overcome. Look, even bringing in one of the spinners, both games are at the Gabba, so maybe pace more so than spin. But yeah, and even with the spinners, it's I still like Kuhneman over Swepson, but it's probably toss a coin. So I don't know. For me personally, if you haven't got any heat players and you're trying to put them in order, I'd say Walter would be number 1. Yeah, probably Bartlett 2, and toss a coin between McSweeney and Munro.
Just on Munro, gosh, he's been so annoying for me this year. You guys know I faded him in round 1 as a bat only. And since the 190, I think it was 190 or something ridiculous put up in first round. Since then, he's gone 12, 10, and 9 Supercoach points in 3 games or 3 rounds. So that's just been really frustrating. But I'm definitely gonna fade on him this round. I just don't like my bat only. I prefer to go a bowler only. Why I wouldn't go the spin options, Swepson and Kuhneman, just because they don't bowl at death, and I just think they can just be worked around at times depending on the situation of the game.
Yeah. What about you, Nick? What do you think? Do you think probably? I think Tall Paul's probably close to the best option, obviously, as well. So
Yeah, definitely Walter. I reckon is definitely best option. Well, Bartlett, one of the two, would be the top 2 options for me. I reckon either one of them I'll probably be trading in. Also got Spencer Johnson. Like Guy said, I've got a big question mark with a circle around him for a pod. Don't know whether I will, but definitely bring in Bartlett or Walter 1, and maybe Johnson. I don't know. Don't like McSweeney. He scares me a bit. He's a good batter, but very inconsistent. Been in good form.
He actually can bowl. That's what the most annoying thing is. And I don't think Munro's. I mean, Renshaw can bowl as well, but I don't think Munro knows that he can bowl.
yeah, but they've got 2 spinners already in the team. That's the problem. If they only have 1 spinner, they'd probably share some overs. But when you've got
McSweeney bowls.
When you got Swepson and
mediums.
No, McSweeney bowls spin.
So he can't bowl both? Oh, that's by Webster,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, I think if they only have 1 spinner in the team, then yes, I wasn't expecting Swepson to play all the games so far. I've got to admit that, especially after he went so shit last season. But he's having a good season, so there's no real reason to be dropping them, I guess. So, yeah.
No, definitely wouldn't go Munro for the bat only, like I said. I'll stick to the bowl onlys or the dual positions, I think.
Yeah.
Bat onlys is too risky.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Just one thing before we move on from the Heat. They play both their games at the Gabba. And that's the only thing that's kind of tempting me to the batters, just because there's normally a lot of runs scored and it's generally a good pitch. So, yeah, that's the only thing that's kind of leaning me off Spencer Johnson. Just think it might be a flat deck. They might only take, 4 wickets for 170, and is he going to get 1 or 2 of them? So it's just weighing that up.
Yeah. All right. We'll quickly touch on the Hobart because obviously they're very relevant. They're on a double this round too. They've got the Heat at the Gabba and also got the Strikers in Adelaide. I've already got Chowdhury, Ellis, and McDermott. All right. Timmy, give me a top 3 trade-ins for the Hurricanes.
Oh geez, mate, it's a tough one, especially with who they actually named, because they have chopped and changed a little bit. Look, I've had Chaudhry since round 1. I've actually really liked him, and he's probably saved me 3 or 4 games throughout this tournament so far as Supercoach goes. Just his dual flexibility has actually been really good, and then being able to loop in a 40, 50, 60, something like that's actually been quite handy. So he will probably be a loop option for me this round. Yeah, look, I've been really keen on Tim David. Unfortunately, the results just haven't been there, but I do reckon that out of these 2 games, he's going to have 1 decent game at least. So I'm pretty keen on him. Whether that's a trade-in or not with the players that I've already got, probably not so. Not the way that my team's set up now. As a the last ones, look, I've always been really keen on Riley Meredith and Nathan Ellis as far as bowling stocks go. They're both quality bowlers. They generally pick up 1 or 2 wickets each, if not more. So look, you can't go wrong, and it's probably a coin toss or look at whichever one has probably bowled the most amount of overs so far throughout the series. I haven't got the numbers in front of me, but that's probably the way to go. As far as batting stocks go, yeah, Wade, if he's fit, whether he plays 2 games in a row is probably the contentious part. He obviously sat out last game with a bit of soreness, and they've talked about it through most of the tournament, so I'm not really sold there. Outside of that, I do like Chris Jordan, batting, bowling, and the only downside with Jordan is he seems to be coming in really low in the order, coming in at 7 or 8. So if he can manage to find a way up the order, I'd be pretty keen on him. But yeah, I don't know. As far as listing them 1, 2, 3, as strange as it is, I've got Chaudhary at 1, but that's only because of other factors. It's not necessarily saying he's the better player or he's just been safe. Apart from the 1 score of 10 or whatever it was that he got, he's been okay. So yeah, I don't know. Chaudhary, then toss a coin between Ellis and Meredith, and then probably Jordan.
And just as we say that, Dave Warner just got out for 57. They only need 11 more to win. So well done to Dave on a fantastic career. It's a shame he couldn't be there at the end to score the runs, but congratulations on a wonderful career in all formats. So,
how did he get out? Just out of interest?
No, I didn't see it. Didn't see it, unfortunately. So
bugger.
What about you, Guy? Who are you keen on for the Hurricanes?
I'm keen on quite a few because as with the Heat, they only really have Nessa as that role with good with the bat and the ball. Bartlett is handy with the bat, but I just don't know batting in Nessa's role, like after Walter, if he actually gets a bat. Hobart have quite a few. So Timmy mentioned Chowdhury. They've also got Timmy David, and they also got Corey Anderson.
Yeah, he's another one.
I think it's 5, 6, and 7 they bat, yeah.
So
they're both. I was looking for one of them. I'm still tossing it up. Sorry, there was 4. Sorry, there was Chris Jordan as well. He's handy with the bat as well. So they've got quite a few all-rounders. Both their games are away, though. That's one thing to note.
Their record away isn't great either. From what I just mentioned, they've only won one of their last 11 games away from home. And also, too, in the last 6 games, they've only managed to pick up like an average of 4 wickets per game, which is not ideal, especially when you've got so many bowlers in that team that I probably wouldn't want to be going too heavy on bowlers for the Hurricanes just for that reason, that they're not taking the wickets. And with none of the games being at home, like I said, I think it's very risky to be going too heavy on them.
Yeah, and
I don't even think. Sorry, one more thing. I don't even think Chowdhury's safe, to be honest with you, because you've got Matt Wade that's going to come back into that team, so someone's got to miss out. So I don't know what they're going to do whether he misses out and they push everyone down. I really don't know what they're going to do, but we'll know early enough anyway, so it won't matter.
So I've kind of narrowed it down with the 4 rounders. The one it comes down to the overs for me, and where they bat as well. I think I've got Jordan just at number 1, even though he bats the lowest. He's quite a good chance, I'd say, to bowl 4. And he bowls death, and he's great in the field. Those chains are working wonders for him. The other 3 is where it varies a little bit. David's bowled 4 overs in his 6 games. I think it was 3 in 1 game, maybe. Anderson's bowled 7 overs in his 6 games. So only 1 extra over. And Chowdhury's also bowled 7 overs, but he's played 5 games, 1 less. So they're all kind of similar, but Corey Anderson bats the highest. So if I'm probably going to go another all-rounder after Jordan, it'd be Anderson, just for a bit of a pod, because I think he will definitely get a bat at 5, and he'll definitely get 1 over at least. So I think he's only about 80, 90K. I'd probably go him over Tim David, even though we know what Tim David can do. He's just, I think he's just as likely to bowl, and he bats 1 higher above him. But I think all these pod options from Hobart could be a good play. In terms of my top 3, though, I was just looking at all-rounders for my personal team, but top 3 overall, I'd probably go Jordan 1, 2 would probably be Meredith. I'm just slightly Meredith over Ellis, just with the pace he can bowl at. And number 3, yeah, look, I might. The bloke at number 3, is it Mac Wright? He's been an absolute. Is it Mac Wright?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been.
I know he's not in 3. Well, he's batting 4, but yeah.
Yeah, he's been killing it. But I couldn't go him. But good on him for having a good season. But yeah, probably number 3, I'd probably go Corey Anderson. So I'd probably go Jordan, Meredith, and then or Ellis probably, or Anderson. But yeah.
All right. What about you, Nick? Is there anyone that who you liking for the Hurricanes?
I've already got Chowdhury. This is the reason why I'm only going the 1 heat. I'm going to trade in, I reckon, 2 Hurricanes, I reckon. Or I reckon 1 will be Jordan. I think Jordan or Ellis, maybe. And then maybe David for the cheaper option. But yeah, definitely Jordan at 1. Already have Chowdhury. I like Ellis. I really do. And I reckon you've got him, Ross, I reckon.
I have him. I bought him 2 weeks ago, and it's been disappointing to say the least. He's only put out a 20 and a 30 so far, but I think he's definitely due. He's been a bit unlucky, especially the last game was pretty unlucky there. Probably should have got some more wickets, but yeah.
Really quick too. He looks good, coming in real fast. He's looking, So I reckon for a bit of a pot option, maybe.
Yeah.
Do you not have McDermott?
Nah, definitely not.
Because he was 72% owned by the top 1%. So he's very he's the most owned easily from Hobart. Chowdhury's 57%. So they're the main 2 that people have towards the top anyway. But yeah, I just feel as though Ellis, he's up at about 15%. I think more people are going to go Ellis over Meredith. So Meredith will be more of an ultra pod. But
yeah. I've got Inglis in that keeper position, and he done really well for me, I think. What did he score?
Yeah, I think this week he's fine to play. It's next week. That's why I'm going to keep Harper, just for that loop to have 2 keepers when you're on the singles.
Yeah.
All right.
Bancroft sitting on the bench for the last game double.
Oh, nice.
All right, we'll move on to the next game, Thunder versus Perth. Obviously, Thunder aren't really relevant for this round, but Perth are. I think a lot of us would have been pretty much loaded up on them after they already had a double last round. We'll quickly discuss them. Just quickly, there's a couple of players that I know that are being traded in that we can probably discuss. One's Laurie Evans and the other's Lance Morris. Question is, if you've already got like 5 Perth, would you be trading any more Scorchers players into your team? What do you think, Nick? Do you think it's feasible to be trading any more Scorchers in?
Nah, I won't be doing it. I've already got 5, and I'm not trading any more in. I'm not trading any out either. I'm sticking with the 5 I got.
Yeah.
So hopefully it works for me. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. And it's all over. Australia win by 8 wickets. Well done to the Aussies on the big sweep. So, Timmy, what about you, mate? What do you think?
Yeah, look, Lance Morris really interests me. And it may be a sideways trade from someone in my squad currently into him. Just the speed and the wickets he's been taking have just been unbelievable. What did he get, a 5 for the other night in the first game?
Yeah.
Like, that's just amazing at that level in BBL to be one of the few that's taken 5 for in a BBL game. That's pretty amazing. Looking at their games too, so they've got 1 in Sydney and 1 at the Gabba. So they're both away from home. Look, the Gabba's a big pitch, but yeah, I don't know. I'm actually quite keen on Lance Morris. I might be a little bit chasing points, but I've got to find some way of trying to get back into that top 1,000. And he's probably one of the lowest owned of guys that I don't have that could come in. So, yeah.
I don't hate the trade out of Conley, to be honest with you. I know, Guy, I think you're doing it. But I'm not. I don't hate the idea of trading out Conley. I'm just not sold on his role. If you want to splurge out the extra, 20 or 30K, and just have a crack at Laurie Evans, who's batting 5. I don't hate the idea, but look, it really depends. I don't know. I'm just going to hang on to my Scorchers. I probably won't bring any more in at this stage. What about you, Guy? I know you're moving on Conley, yeah?
Yeah, well, it's definitely a double. My third trade's going to be a double game week player, but it's either Connolly or Billings. one of them probably will go, because I'm just not confident playing him in a double. And if I'm not going to play him in a double, I might as well get rid of it. So, yeah, it'll be one of those. And I'm going to keep Overton and Short. I know most are selling Overton, but that's why I wouldn't go for Bartlett. I'd much rather, instead of going Overton to Bartlett, I'd much rather go a Connolly or a Billings to a Spencer Johnson, for example. So, yeah, in terms of the game itself, I do like Lance Morris. As you boys know, I wanted to get him last week. It's just, yeah, this Cricket Australia resting people. I mean, look what's happened to Nessa this season. And yeah, they just did it to him in round one when I wanted him for their double, and he didn't make the team, so ended up going someone else. And then, yeah, it's just annoying seeing him go off last round.
Sorry to jump in there, Guy. When is the next test? When's the Adelaide test? It's probably thrown a nick because he being a local, he's probably got more knowledge on this than the rest of us.
They don't play Pakistan though.
No, it's against the Windies, isn't it?
Yeah,
they've got 2 tests against the Windies. I'm not sure.
What, it's a week away or a couple of weeks away?
I think
Roscoe can look it up. He can check that.
So if they've got the test, because they've got the Cricket Australia 11 game between now and the next test, and obviously that's not like all the stars aren't playing in that. It's more sort of a reserve grade, or the up and comers, call it what you will. So look, I don't know. I see Lance Morris playing both of these games. I mean, we've got a game on Monday and then a game on Wednesday. He's going to bowl 8 overs. Unless he's into the test, which you would probably think Boland would be next one in. So even if they rest a couple of players, and I would like to think first test that they would probably play with the same 11 that they've got now, obviously barring Warner. So I don't know. I can't see Morris missing a game between now and Wednesday.
Well, the next test isn't until the 17th of January.
So they've got plenty of time to rest and things like that.
Yeah, correct.
Well, it's just they play them close together. They're so they play obviously on Monday and then they play on Wednesday, so it's quite a short turnaround. And look, it's the whole year. I think this year has just been weather and players coming in and out. It's just been really, really hard. I mean, even round one, you boys remember when strikers got rained out and they had the double in round 2 and we're all looking for players. I mean, I wanted to start Overton or Thornton on my bench. I ended up going for Menenti, who round 2 didn't even make it anyway. And now you look at Thornton coming back, and I mean, he could have started the year over half their bowlers. He's looked good. So it's just, players coming in and out have made it really, really hard this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just not confident enough. I think he might play. Like, there's a good chance he does play 2, but when you've got other teams on the doubles with players who are short of 2 games, probably going to go down.
I think there's probably a good chance for the Scorchers that one of their pace bowlers will get rested for that game against the Thunder. I think Mackenzie will probably might end up playing one of the games. So I don't know who that's going to affect, if it's going to be Morris, Thorpe, or Richo or Ty. I have absolutely no idea, to be honest with you. But I guess we're not going to really know. That's the problem. But
definitely don't go Laurie Evans though. That's just chasing points. I mean, credit to him, he batted extremely well. In good form, but just couldn't do it. Batting that.
But when the pressure was on him yesterday, he didn't do too well. So, yeah. All right, we'll move on to the next game, which is Adelaide versus the Hurricanes. I don't think there's too much to speak of here. I think probably other than Overton and Matt Short, I'll be selling pretty much all your strikers. I think that just because those 2 being all rounders, you want to keep them for round 8 with them. There being no doubles, both having that all-rounder sort of role. So what do you guys think? I mean, we don't need to touch on Hobart again. Do you guys agree? You probably hang on to Overton and Matt Short?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just out of interest, Darcy Short, I've still got him. He's still he's scoring runs when he goes out there. So I don't know. Is he a hold for next week? Is he a trade out? Obviously, if you've already got 11 or 12 double gamers, do you just sit him on your bench and wait till next week? I don't know.
I think it all
out for-
depends. It all depends on break evens and stuff like that too. I think probably need to have a look into that and see what his break even is.
I can tell you in 2 seconds. His break even is 53.
53.
It could essentially wait a week, but
Hmm.
it depends on who you're trading out over him as well.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna hang on to someone who's playing a single game next week that's not an all rounder, at least he's opening, so you know he's going to get a bat pretty much anyway. So I don't hate the idea of hanging on to him.
No one has a double next week. It's all
No,
single
correct.
gamers.
That's
all
correct.
single gamers next week, and the
Correct.
only
And no buy.
Sorry.
And no buys for next week.
No buys. That's right.
Lucas.
Yeah.
So the only double that's left is the Thunder.
Yeah, in the last round, and that's it.
Yep. And who's on the buy that week? The Heat. So, yeah.
That's the only reason I was going to keep Billings, but now with Harper, I'm assuming he's not going to play. But yeah, I'm just going to keep Harper. And Billings is 120k, so I might as well use that cash.
All right, well, that's all the games covered off. There's no point in touching on the Heat and Scorchers game because obviously we've discussed both those teams already. So we'll jump into questions. Timmy, what's the go with Timmy O?
What's the go with Timmy O this week? Righto. Our first question. Oh, thanks very much, fans, listeners, whatever you want to be called, for sending in your messages each week to What's the Go with Timmy O. We get flooded. It's actually really good. It's a segment that's really kicked off in our Off the Bench podcast, and it's something that we will absolutely be continuing on for the rest of this season, and we certainly will right through the NRL season as well, especially pre-season. I'm sure we'll get absolutely smashed with questions each week. So first one comes from some punter, some Nick guy. I've never heard of him. I don't think he's doing real well. Yeah, Nick Pink. Shout out to Nick. Well done.
Maybe you should ask his own question. Then we can...
Look, Nick did ask the panel, or Nick did want to ask the panel through our chat system. Is Tim David worth a look on the double? Other than him, I really can't see any other players I can trust in the Hurricanes. Look, we obviously have addressed that pretty much already. I do like Tim David. His form going into this double isn't the flashiest. But as a player, I think on any given day, he can absolutely take off, especially if he gets a couple of overs as well, which is pretty handy. But as we've discussed, I think we pretty much put all four all-rounder or the three other all-rounders above him. And, he'd be a pod play. I can't imagine there's too many in the top 1% that do have him. So I'm sure that's somewhere where Nick is trying to keep an eye on who has what in that top 10, top 20. So, it would be a pod play. Probably I was really keen on him 2 rounds ago, but probably not so much now.
Yeah.
I think you're better off paying up for Jordan out of those all-rounders just because he's definitely going to bowl. If in his position, definitely, if you were back in, Roscoe's position, then you could maybe go for a Tim David and, because he's going to be buck all owned and he can do well, but it's just a big, big risk for me when he hasn't done it all season. I'd be one if I was a bit further back.
I'd be more liking him if he had a game at home, but the fact that he doesn't have a game at home tells me he's probably not going to bowl many overs with the games being where they are either. So, and if he was batting a bit higher, then I probably would be all over him for 70k. But batting
and he's fighting Chowdhury for overs. That's the thing. Last year he didn't have Chowdhury, and they didn't have Hatzoglu either as another spinner. So,
but in saying that, the other week David bowled 3 overs and Chowdhury didn't bowl any. But then the other night David comes out, bowls the first over, gets a wicket maiden, and doesn't see another over. So
that's why it's so risky.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. Yeah.
If you bowl 3, he's definitely worth a look in, but I don't think I'm gonna. No.
I think for the extra 40k, you're probably better off going Laurie Evans. I know it sounds stupid, but at least Laurie Evans is probably going to get 2 bats.
He's not
going to do that.
Okay.
He ain't going to do that again. What he did.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he's going to go do that again, but
I think he's better off going in Ellis or a Jordan at about the 120.
It depends if you've got the cash.
Right. I think if you're looking for a batter, I'd probably go Whiteman over him anyway. So from the Perth team.
The only thing with Whiteman is that that was the other thing I did mention was that there's a chance that Mitch Marsh plays the second game for the Scorchers too, which essentially means that Whiteman's probably going to be one who misses out unless they drop Conley and push everyone down the order. But it's going to be one of those two that are going to miss out. But I think it would be far too risky to be jumping on Whiteman, in my opinion.
That'll be an interesting one to see what Australian players available, if not for the end of this next round, for round 9. If they're only available in that single game week, they could be very, very handy. We saw Steve Smith come back last year and go back-to-back hundreds.
He's playing in the Derby on Friday. He'll be playing. Dave Warner will be playing in that one too.
Yeah, so, this week it's a bit harder with the doubles, but next week, it really could,
I'll get on to Honeyball regarding that one and see if we can find out some more info. But from what I believe, it was only going to be this round that they were going to be playing. They weren't going to be playing any of the other rounds. Except for obviously Dave Warner, now that he's retired from Test cricket, he'll play the double and round 8 for the Thunder too. So, yeah. All right, move on, Timmy. What's next?
Righto, next question comes from Matt Gibson. What do you think the top 4 of the Hurricanes looks like once Wades comes back in? So I'm assuming he means the batting top 4. So who do we think will... Yeah, what do we think the top 4 is going to be? Guy, your thoughts?
What I do or what I think it's going to be? What
do you think the actual who'll bat 1, 2, 3, 4?
I think they'll stick with Jewel up top, and he'll, depending if Wade's back, we'll just assume Wade's back.
Well, that's what he's saying. If Wade's back, top 4, you'd think Jewel and Wade.
Jewel and Wade, I'd have Dermy 3 and Macro. His name keeps escaping me. Him at 4. Yeah,
that's
it would mean Sam Hain goes, but I don't know if they're gonna do that. That's I think he's missed one game. I think they dropped him for one game, did they? Or they didn't?
Yeah, just that last game.
Yeah.
Roscoe, anything different?
It's too hard for me. I think there's a chance that Jewel can get dropped. He hasn't really been making many runs so far. I think Hayne could get saved for the fact that he made runs last game and pretty much won the game for them. But then there's a world where Chowdhury could also get dropped and they slide everyone down too. If Wade's available, he'll be in the team and he'll be opening. It's just a matter of who he opens with, whether it's Jewel or if it's McDermott. I really don't know. Yeah.
Nick, anything to add, buddy, if you're still there?
I think that Wade will probably open with Jewel, and I think McDermott will get pushed to 4 and Maccabee at 3, I reckon. That's my opinion.
Yep.
And then Hayne down to 5.
Yeah, cool. Righto, Matt's next question. Does Brisbane playing Perth twice and a bye in the last 3 rounds turn you off their players, or do you not care about the opposition and still target them in the short term due to the double? Look, we've sort of already talked about Brisbane in that I think all of us are in agreement that if you've already got a whole stack of double gamers, you're probably not moving too many pieces. If you're trying to bring one in, we've all pretty much agreed that Walter would be 1, Bartlett's probably number 2, and then maybe a bat all-rounder or something because you're number 3. So, I don't know. I'm not so keen on bringing them in unless you didn't have them, at which point, if I didn't have any of them, the only one I'd probably look at would be Walter, maybe Bartlett. But again, it depends where you are and how many slots you've got to fill from the rest of your squad. If you're trying to push to have 11 double gamers, then those would be the 2 that I'd be aiming at. Having the bye in the last round, look, they might be handy, especially if you've got to want to loop in some players. So at the moment, I've got Billings and Walter, and I'm probably going to hold them till the end just for that sole purpose that I'll be able to have some moving pieces for that last round, which is probably going to be pretty handy. Is there any need to target them if you've already got a full squad for this round? I'm saying probably not. Nick? No. Roscoe?
No, but I wouldn't be going too heavy on the Heat players. I just think it's just the unknown and the fact that they're playing the Scorchers twice and they have a bye last round.
Yeah, and I think
definitely wouldn't be going too heavy on them.
Yeah, and like we said before, with Marnus and Kawaja probably coming in for the next 2 games after this one, then yeah, there's a good chance that order is going to get moved around a little bit as well.
But the one I think if you're gonna take a punt on a batter, the one Munro, for example, he's gonna open both games.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna take a punt, he's gonna open both games. I wouldn't be too worried that they're versing Hobart and Scorchers just because of the fact they're playing both at home. So they're obviously going to stay up at Brisbane.
Yeah.
And they know that ground really well. So yeah, otherwise I'd normally always go bowlers, but that's the only little tempter that's making me think about the batters. But yeah, I think it's okay to have 2 or 3.
Yeah,
but you probably wouldn't want any more than that, though.
So what he was worried about was the fact that they're playing Scorchers twice in the last 3 rounds. So is it an issue that he's playing against, obviously, the bowling that Brisbane are playing against the Scorchers bowling attack? I'm guessing is
maybe next week.
It's a top of the table clash, 2 games in a row. So
next round, it's different because they go to Optus to play.
Yeah.
That's the difference. So this week when they're on the double, they're playing at home. So slightly, wouldn't affect me this week, but then you've got to think about next week as well. If you would play him next week in a single, Paul Walter, you probably would, but he's probably the only heat player. Maybe Bartlett you would as well, that you'd be comfortable playing on a single against the Scorchers at Optus.
Yep. It pretty much leads into our next question. Paul Chester asks, Bartlett or Kuhnemann? And he asks Munro or McSweeney. He has asked why. Now, I think we've talked about a lot of these players. I would absolutely have Bartlett over Kuhnemann. Look, he's just got the runs on the board. Well, the wickets, really. So he's been arguably their best bowler this season, Bartlett. So you'd absolutely have to say Bartlett over Kuhnemann. Munro or McSweeney, I would probably say, like what Guy just said, Munro over McSweeney, simply because Munro's going to absolutely play both games at the top of the order. McSweeney, although he's probably a much better informed batter than Munro at the moment, I think he'll probably slide down the order when all the rock stars come in. Ross, anything to add?
I don't hate the Kuhnemann shout. I know we haven't really spoken about him, but he's actually been going pretty well this season. He's been scoring okay. I think he's averaging somewhere from 50 to 60 points a game, which isn't too bad. So I don't hate the shout out for him, but Bartlett's a quality bowler, as we know too. Depends if you want to go the pod play or not. I think Bartlett's the safe route, and obviously Kuhnemann's the pod play.
Yeah,
I think that's a big ground too, isn't it? Optus Stadium is a big ground.
Yeah, they are.
So obviously you've got the spinner basically a spinner at 2 big grounds. So does that make you think maybe that's not a bad shout? Yeah, I don't know. More chance.
They've also got Swepson as well. So I just prefer, like I've already said, I prefer the death bowlers in that role. So I'm definitely on Bartlett over Kuhnemann. And Bartlett's a good chance of batting. He's batting in Nessa's spot, number 7, just behind Walter. So he's a good chance, and he's scored a lot of runs this season in grade. So it's definitely Bartlett. The other ones, you can toss a coin. Munro's probably got a better role. I'm probably a little bit more of a fan on McSweeney. I just think he respects his wicket a lot more, and just values it. It's saying I wish Fraser McGurk would do. Both of them two, I think, are going to play a lot of Test cricket, or maybe not Test, but a lot of cricket for Australia. So, I'll probably just McSweeney.
Nick, Bartlett or Kuhnemann, and Munro or McSweeney?
Yeah, I'll probably go Bartlett over Kuhnemann. He's been in really good form this year. I've had him in my team quite a bit, in and out a couple of times. I'll definitely go Bartlett over Kuhnemann. Munro or McSweeney, now that's a tough one. I reckon I'd go Munro, like Guy said. He's going to open the batting. He's going to play 2. If he can make runs, he can go big. That's the thing. He can score massive points, but he can score bugger all. So, yeah, I'd definitely go Bartlett, and I reckon Munro over the big factor of the big points.
Awesome. Last question, Travis Bishop. Should I just hold and play short Maxi and Sams? Can't see many from the doubles getting more points than those three. So we did talk about Short and Maxi. Yes, hold them. We're sort of split as to whether or not you start them or bench loop them. Sam's, yeah, I'm trying to work a way of trying to get him back into my squad. So that will be trade dependent this round. But yeah, look, I would absolutely be holding Shorty, Maxi, and Sam's if you've got them. I'm taking for granted that's Matt Short, not Darcy Short. Although we probably already said that maybe keep Darcy Short as well and just keep him on your bench or play.
No. Don't keep Darcy Short. He's a sell.
Sorry?
I definitely wouldn't keep Darcy Short. Selling him.
Yep, super. But Matt Short, Maxi, and Sam's all in agreement. Hold.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think they're all a feasible play over any double game player, really. I mean, it really depends on who you're looking at trading in because, I mean, Maxi and Matt Short on their day could easily outscore guys like Chris Jordan, Elvis, any of those guys, really.
Yeah.
I really like Matt Short this round. The fact that they're playing at Adelaide Oval again, where he's got a ridiculous record, I think it's very hard to be leaving Matt Short out of your team this week. I'd be playing him over, like if I had Chowdhury down in my bowling or someone like that, I'd be playing him over Chowdhury for sure.
Yeah. And you know what? That's probably one that I could look at for my third option is Sam's. If I don't need that looping option, he could actually come back in because then it's preparing for definitely wanting next week.
Yeah.
And then I got a double in the last week.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'd definitely be holding those three if I had them.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why I said before I don't mind selling a Connolly or a Billings or a double game week player or a Chowdhury even. Because yeah, Maxi and Short could easily outscore him in one.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to have him next week more so as well.
Super. Awesome. Thanks very much, Travis. Thanks very much to all of our listeners for posting your questions and keep them coming, guys. It's been a really good segment. Back to you, Roscoe.
All right. Well, I think that's all the games covered, all the questions covered. Well, I think we'll wrap it up now. So thanks, guys, for jumping on, Guy.
Before we wrap it up, captains. Who's our captains?
Oh, yes. All right. I'll go quickly. I'm going to VC Tall Paul, and I'm going to captain. No idea yet. Don't know yet. Honestly,
that's why Roscoe skipped it. Has no idea.
Honestly, I don't know who I'm going to captain yet. Tall Paul's definitely my VC, but I haven't decided on captaincy yet.
Yeah, and I think that would be the common one. Tall Paul, and then probably a Hardy or a Scorcher.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to captain a. It's going to have to be a Scorcher, isn't it? Really, after that game. Yeah, it's got to be a Scorcher. Just don't know which one.
Unless you want to go Matty Short.
Well, I
Adelaide Oval.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. It's definitely a pod play, and I don't see many people captaining someone on a single game round, so I don't hate the idea.
Yeah, I think I'll be a bit more risky with my captain. I mean, the obvious choice VC is Paul Walter.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure at my rank whether I should try and have a stab at someone else.
Don't make the same mistake I did last week. It's bit me on the ass big time.
Captains are so crucial. You boys know round one, I started at 15K. Not only didn't get Munro, but I captained Sean Abbott, who didn't even play the second game of their double. Got me 35 points.
Yeah.
So captains can kill you. I mean, even last week, I accidentally captained Dan Lawrence over Maxi, which cost me a shit ton of points. But it was interesting because when we spoke to the champ before the season, dual champ, he touched on that point. Sorry, I lost what I was saying. But my captain, for the Scorchers, I think I'd be a bit more riskier if Walter doesn't go off. But yeah, it's a moving week, and I'm just very unsure. It'll probably be made on team lists for the game when they come out, those last minute decisions. But yeah.
What about you, Nick? What are you thinking?
Yeah, definitely Paul Walter VC. Thinking about maybe if Inglis is captain, maybe going to go the old, or go with the crowd and go Hardy. I'm not sure yet, but definitely tempted to throw the C on Inglis.
It'd be good to know if any of these Scorchers bowls we're going to get a rest or not. I mean, obviously, if we know first game, then it'll make it easier. But if they rest someone for the second game, and we don't know, it might be very risky to go on a bowler for the Scorchers as captain. That's all I'm going to say. because we don't know what. There's a chance one of them might get a rest.
Yeah. Hardy
And there was a bit of weather around, I think, for the last game on Wednesday. So it might lean. That's heat and scorches, so it kind of leads you maybe VC a hurricane, just in case.
All right, well, that's the podcast wrapped up for round 6. Guy, thanks for jumping on as always.
No worries, boys.
You missed me.
Have
Good
I
luck,
said you
everyone.
yet? Have I finished yet?
Good luck, everyone, and hopefully, green arrows for us all.
And Timmy, thanks for jumping on as always.
Yeah, no, that's okay. My VC for this week.
Oh, I thought you already said yours. Sorry.
Good on you. Hey, yeah, look, it'll be Paul Walter. Otherwise, a very left field VC on Maxi in game 1. Depending on how confident I am, then I'm going through into Hardy from the Scorchers for game 3 onwards.
Yeah, and that first game for the Perth, Inglis and Hardy are good shouts, because that first game for Perth's at the showground, which is tiny, can move around a bit. And there has been, Thunderbolt out for 15 last year, but it also is really tiny boundaries if you do get yourself in. Oh, back to what I was saying before, just about the champ quickly, was last year, one thing I noticed, he didn't grab Steve Smith. He was really, as Nick said, he was this year really just going for the double game week and looking at the schedule. And he didn't even go Steve Smith last year when he went back-to-back hundreds and he still won. So I just feel as though, you can make stupid mistakes and you can still get up there. So it's just about how much of a risk you want to take. I mean, just one captain call could change 100 points. I mean, you have 1 or 2 different pods. Doesn't have to be too different, but that could get you, 300 points for the round.
Yep. All right, and lastly, thanks, Nick, for jumping on. I appreciate it. Good luck for the rest of the season. Hopefully we'll see you there at number 1 at the end of the year. But anyway, good luck for the rest of it.
No worries. Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me, man.
Anytime, bro.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Thanks for jumping on.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see you for our next podcast for round 8 later in the week. Till then, have a good round, everyone. Cheers.
Stay safe. Be good.